All right. So I have played the Oregon Trail for the Nintendo Switch for a while now, and I've beaten the main game, the trail itself, and I've done a bunch of the journeys. And my overall impressions of the game are, it's fine. It's probably about a 6.5 out of 10. There are some minor things that are okay, and then there's the fact that I mean, I guess I'll go into more detail on everything. So, my first statement is it's definitely feels more like the original Oregon Trail with the text-based adventure rather than the Oregon Trail third edition, and maybe that's part of the reason why I don't look at it as highly or regard it as highly as maybe other people might. It's a fine game. The Trails itself is pretty simplified. I think one of the issues I may have is that it's all very simplified. Yeah, you can. So okay, so you have, I guess you could say, five main areas that you have to travel between. So you start at the very beginning. I believe it's called Independence. You form your party, and then you have four additional major stops. In between that, there'll be different areas that you have to choose to go through. I'm using my hand behind the camera instead of in front of the camera. And so after you assemble your crew and you leave your town, you can choose how fast you're going, how much you're eating, and then you can choose how you want to arrive at your next destination. One of the things that I noticed is that no matter what setting you have your pace at random, your wagon will have a problem. Sometimes it'll happen very often. It's RNG. It's not actually like, oh, if you slow down your pace, it won't break down as fast. Whereas, the only reason to slow your pace down is if you're running out of energy. And I'm like, why? You would think that maybe if you were going slower, there wasn't as much wear and tear, your wagon wouldn't run out as fast. And that maybe it's a little too much of a thing, but I felt like your issues with the wagon kept happening at random. A lot of the issues that would happen were randomized, and I wasn't as big a fan of that. It's like, oh, you're walking, and all of a sudden there's a snake. Wait a minute, you're in the middle of a deserty area, and there's a snake all of a sudden, not near marshes or. I mean, I know that you can find snakes pretty much anywhere, but it's like it just kept happening. Um, there were certain events that would come up where you could definitely tell, such as like, should you get water from this little pond where there's lots of mosquitoes? The answer is no. But if you do, you get dysentery, which, all the medical issues last days. And one of the other things that I wasn't a big fan of, which the Oregon Trail third edition, when you had an issue, there was like four or five options you could choose. You could use antiseptic, you could do antibiotic, or you could literally throw like clovers or dandelion root or something at them. And in this, it's like, oh yes, you have medicine, herbal remedy, or nothing. And then, if you break a bone, which stuff again at random, you'd think going at a slower pace there would be less issues, but my first run through it, I had the pace set at the slow setting, and I just was like, I'm gonna enjoy my way through. And mind you, I put it at the regular difficulty. I didn't put it at a higher difficulty. I didn't put it at the easiest. I just did normal, and it just kept happening. Like I'm like, what is going on? Why does this keep happening? And again, if it were at a higher pace, that's the thing. And as far as the food goes, you just switch that back and forth depending on how much food you get. And if you go hunting at all or fishing, you're going to be set for food in the game. So the food really was never an issue for my characters in my playthrough. But the shooting in the game was, pretty simple. And the fishing kind of remind me of Animal Crossing fishing, which was fine. But that was all it was. And the rest of the stuff just random events. Sure, you had quest lines that you could go on, and if you completed your quests, you would unlock some bonus journeys, and the journeys could get you to get new tools you could buy in the stores or get new character classes that you could play as. And that seemed okay, but when I tried, doing some of the future playthroughs and switching out these characters around, I kept getting like the regular ones with an occasional specialty one instead of it being more random. And you would only get to choose from three for each set. So you get four characters, and each time you would have three of them to choose from, but you couldn't reset it, and you were stuck. So what if you had it where you had two clergy members, like a nun and a pastor, I guess, or you would have like the adventurer, but you wouldn't get like, oh well, where's the trapper? Where is the mountain man? Where is anything else? And sure, you have to unlock stuff, and that might make it more fun for additional playthroughs. But I feel like, again, it was relatively I don't know, simplified. Yeah, simplified would be the word I'm looking for. It's simple. It was fine. And I guess if that's the kind of game you want to go and play, sure, and music was okay. And the journeys were, pretty good storytelling. And that was really about it. It's just one of the things I kind of miss is during the Oregon Trail Third Edition, you could make a decision to go different ways on the map, and instead of winding up in Oregon, you would wind up down south, and that was kind of fun where you didn't have to end in Oregon, but you have to do a separate trail to do like the California Trail instead, and it's overall, I mean, once it drops down to like $15, I would say it's probably a decent buy at that point. But $25 for the game, it's okay. I mean, if you really, really want to play I guess, an adventuring game, not really exploration, because you don't really do much of the exploration yourself. You're just traveling on a map, and you choose each stop that you're going to go to. Um, it's it's fine, but I don't think it was anything too incredible. It was fine, and if you're really craving in like the original Oregon Trail, you'll probably like it more than how I feel about it, because I spent a lot of time playing the Oregon Trail Third Edition when I was a kid, and it's not as good in my opinion. I just maybe I'm just not remembering correctly, or maybe I have my nostalgia glasses on, which that could be the case. Um, but yeah, about a 6.5 out of 10. It's fine. It's fun, but it's not mind blowing. But there you go. That's my review of the Oregon Trail for the Nintendo Switch.